Let's introduce him a different way. I'm going to leave the show in the hands of Steve, cue the kid. Ow, that. Burns. That's the guy. Mike, Scott, be nice to him. Steve, good luck with those two. I'll see you from New Orleans. Have fun in Indianapolis.
Well, thanks, Dan, the Monster Jam man. I heard the action was smoking in San Diego last week, and the view wasn't bad either. But you know where we are now? Indianapolis, the RCA Dome. Ooh, that's loud. Like I was saying, it's loud. We're in the RCA Dome. They play NFL football here, the Indianapolis Colts. But you know what? They play on AstroTurf. We're doing it in the dirt. And you know what? We have monster trucks everywhere. Now, to set the stage for the whole night, let's go upstairs to Scott Douglas and the Hog Daddy, Mike Hogwood. Raise the roof, boys.
Thanks, Bernsey. We'll do our best. Man, it's great to have you with us here tonight at the RCA Dome in Indianapolis. Everybody fired up for what I think is going to be a great monster truck show. Hi, everybody. Once again, I'm Mike Hogwood, along with Scott Douglas. And here tonight, these guys are fired up.
Going to be a great night in the RCA Dome. Another one of these exciting U-turn courses in a big building. Lets these monster trucks really air it out. And we see the fans are jacked up for tonight's action.
All right, let's take a look at the point standings. No surprise who's on top. Gravedigger.
Well, Gravedigger has been the man in the sport, but you know, as we saw in San Antonio, you got to watch people like Gunslinger who are taking advantage of the opportunity to take a crack at the big gun. And then in the second five, you see a lot of up-and-comers, including Bulldozer, who looks like the hottest new truck on the circuit.
Scott, interesting stories, as you said, in the point standings. We'll see if Gravedigger can hold on to the lead here tonight. Coming up on TNN's Motor Madness Monster Jam, we're going to tell you about the secret of the flag.
You know, it's going to be something that's going to escalate. You're going to see a lot more of it. So weekend to weekend, we'll have to see who's carrying a flag and see what kind of little quotes are marked on that flag to who's getting it next or where it's going or where it's been.
Brought to you by Cooper Tire and Rubber Company. Cooper Tires, the world is your course. Drive on.
Hole 9 of the Cooper Tire Invitational.
Ace Motorsports presenting Monster Jam in the beautiful city of Indianapolis. Quite a sports town here. Got some AAA baseball. The RCA Dome is home of the Colts, as you heard Steve Burns say. And tonight it's Monster Jam. Let's go to Steve to talk about the flag.
You're looking at Highway 74, a ribbon of asphalt that runs directly to the shop of Gary Porter and the Carolina Crusher race team. Why am I standing in a cold, miserable rain alongside Highway 74? It's about the flag. It's about tradition. You see, some 20 years ago, Gary Porter and Dennis Anderson, they started this tradition where the winner would get to raise the flag triumphantly on the back of their vehicle. Well, folks, I'm sorry to say, a tradition that went away for a little while, but now it's back, and we're proud to say the flag is what it's all about.
Well, back in the old days, and it was Porter and I, we've been up and down the road a lot, raced together. We used to have this this pretty silver, silky flag at TNT Motorsports on it.
So somebody come up with the idea of having a championship flag instead of, you know, giving us the trophy at the end of the night when we won the race.
And we were really proud to have it. It's kind of like the wrestlers getting the belt where we had the flag.
You know, if another truck won that night, you know, that driver would run over, you know, and yank the flag off of that truck that had it from the prior race.
And if you could sport that flag several weekends in a row, you were a bad dude. It was hard to hang on to that flag.
Well, I don't know. That's kind of new. You know, we heard something about that this weekend while we were sitting there working on this thing that, you know, we're starting to carry these flags around, you know.
Yeah, we've been keeping the flag to ourselves. You know, we're just sort of keeping it a secret, you know, because we knew if it ever got out, all these other drivers would want the flag.
But you watch these guys, they'll freak out about this flag. they'll want to sport that flag, and this flag talk will go on for a long time now.
Well, the secret's out now. We know it's there somewhere, and the key is going to be to find that flag and see who has it. Who are the favorites tonight? I think Gunslinger has to be one of them. You'll remember he won last time out on Motor Madness. Let's talk to Scott about the setup of these trucks for this course.
Okay, a track like this, we're going to have to set the truck up really different. We're going to set it up tight in the front end because what we have, we're going to have to attack a straight line drag course with a couple obstacles in it to go into a real sharp corner. What you're going to have to look for is the way we get into that corner. What I'm going to do is, like I say, I'm going to go in there and I'm going to go ahead and stab the brake just as hard as I can. That means climbing all over it. We're going to burp the throttle, which we've gone through that before, and the truck's actually going to want to slide into that corner. Now, it's hard to get a big truck like these to slide, especially on that tacky dirt in there. So what we're going to have to do is do our best to get the timing right, to throw the rear steering, hit the brakes, get in that corner, and get out of it as fast as we can.
Hartsock's the hot hand, but we can't discuss favorites without mentioning the sports icon. Dennis Anderson behind the wheel of the Gravedigger. He's ready.
We've kind of geared for the track. It'll be a long straightaway, but got to be kind of careful on the get off. Got a pretty steep hill. Then when you get in the turn, you got really a sharp J turn that we have to go through. So I think the track is tacky enough that the truck may hook up and could flip over sideways. The first guy that can get in the throttle in the turn, coming out of the turn, more than likely is going to win the race.
And let's keep our eye on the Monster Patrol. Paul Schaefer, who owns junkyards along with driving monster trucks, they call him the Junkyard Dog because of his tenacity and his cunning. He'll be tough.
Well, what I have to do is the old round tracks that I used to run, I had to lower the air pressure on the right side so I can make the left-hand corner just a little bit faster than the other guy. You got Dennis Anderson out there and everybody else. It's tough. You got to go out there and look to win, not to lose.
Scott, I think all of these drivers here tonight are fired up, really want to win and not to lose. And in our first one, Nightmare 2, getting ready to go up against Gunslinger. We're going to have a good battle here.
Absolutely, and it's a great field tonight. Also want to mention, we'll see her in a little bit, Pam Botters returns in the Boogie Van. Boy, it's great to see her back in action. But right now, Gary Bauer brings out a solid Ford. Nightmare 2, a 12-year veteran of the sport out of Vienna, Ohio, and he can run with the big boys.
And that big boy, one of them is Scott Hartsock. He has been so tough, as we said a moment ago. Won the last time out and has to be one of the favorites here. We heard how he talks about it. It is really a science to get around this course. Scott Hartsock talked about it, been in this sport for 6 years. In that 98 Ford, he's ready to go.
Absolutely is fired up. You know, he's got a lot of momentum coming out of San Antonio, and he sees the cameras for TNN Motor Madness. I guarantee he wants another victory here at Indy.
All right, let's hang on here as we get our first race underway. This is a race on this course. Two monster trucks doing battle in this U-shaped course, which has some obstacles and also has a really tight turn. Let's watch it.
Two Fords head-to-head to start us off. And the turn, again, is going to be critical. Couldn't tell if anybody got an advantage through the turn, and boy, they came tight to the finish.
They are neck and neck, and again, I think the key is getting on that throttle quick right after you make that turn. And here we watch Nightmare. A little bit of a surprise at how strong he is.
Gary got through the turn beautifully, so he hung with Hartsock the entire way. Here we get a look at Scott's turn, just like he wanted to. He throws that back end. He's in the rear steer right now. Then, as Dennis Anderson mentioned, he had to really hammer it. Let's go down and catch up with Steve and Scott.
Scott, we talked to you earlier about how this is a driver's racetrack. Tell us about your run.
Well, exactly right. It was a driver's racetrack. You know, we had to come over the first couple obstacles, played it cool, drag race down to this corner, made a good even turn. The old Mega Power Ford made a good leap over the finish line. Here we are, one round down and 3 more to go.
Scott, you guys are putting on an awesome show tonight.
Well, thanks. You know, with the help of Mega Power like this, we come out here cocked, locked, and ready to rock.
A lot of fans out here, too.
Boy, you ain't kidding. This place is packed, and we're here to, I tell you, just put on a good show for everybody.
We'll raise the roof for them.
You got it, TNN Motorsports.
All right. Thanks a lot, Scott. Boy, that was great. We'll have more round one action from Indy coming up on Monster Jam in a moment.
Do you have trouble understanding conversations in a crowded room? Or difficulty understanding soft speech, like a child's voice? Or does it seem like people are mumbling when they talk to you? If so, do what millions of people have already done. Call Miracle Ear for a valuable free information kit. When you call our toll-free number right now, you'll receive our free Hearing Loss and You videotape. It explains the common causes of hearing loss and what you can do about it. As a bonus, you'll also receive our informative booklet, Your Guide to Hearing Problems and Hearing Solutions. You'll get straightforward answers to common questions about hearing help. So why wait? Start enjoying life again. Call right now for your free video information kit only from Miracle Ear.
Motor Madness Monster Jam, you're looking at Mistress, driven by Don Borders of Shelburne, Indiana. Don comes here to Indy tonight with a bit of a heavy heart. He's had a hard week, and Steve Burns had a chance to talk with him about it.
Yeah, it's very special for more than one reason. Wednesday night, I lost my brother, my baby brother. Got hit by a car, and he was supposed to come and watch me. And I feel that through God's help, he's here watching over me tonight. Right before Christmas, we buried my stepdad, so I've got two guys here watching over me to help keep this truck on the ground and make me run right. So yes, it's very special to me. Some of my family can't be here because of this situation, but Pace has really been great to me and helped me out, you know, just told me anything I need today. They were going to help me and work with me. And you can't ask for a better promoter than that. And I'm really happy and thankful to them that they've actually let me have a chance to come here and perform tonight, and I'm going to do 110%.
All right, Don, and certainly our thoughts are with you and your family as you get ready tonight. Mistress and Don Borders, the driver.
Well, he didn't get the greatest of draws coming out because that huge Hemi engine powering Barefoot will be in the other lane. Todd Frolick out of Pontoon Beach, Illinois, in the legendary Barefoot machine. More world championships, more world records than any other monster truck, Barefoot.
And again, we watch these two race, and it is Todd Frolick in Barefoot who is jumping out to a big lead, makes that turn very quickly, and jams down that throttle. Here he goes. Barefoot runs away with it over Mistress. Barefoot, just too much power.
The question is going to be how Todd Frolick gets through the turns, because you're absolutely right, Mike. When it comes to horsepower, Todd can absolutely put it to the ground.
I thought he got through that turn fantastic.
That's the key.
As you see, once you get through that turn, it's usually, if you're even, is the first guy who steps down onto the throttle. Mistress really just underpowered.
Yeah, he bogged down coming in the turn, and as we've talked about, it's been a tough week for Don.
Don, tell us what happened. I know it's been a rough week for you, and you wanted to have a good run, but you had to shut her down. What happened?
Well, I didn't shut it down. I wanted to have a good run. I come over that first car there, and I hit pretty hard, and something happened. The rear kill switch bounced and shut me off. I thought something had broken. They'd shut me off, but evidently it's just malfunction of the equipment there.
Tough break.
Yeah, it's a tough break, but I'll come out for freestyle and put on a good show.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Don Borders of Mistress, and now we have a showdown of two of the favorites here, Monster Patrol and Carolina Crusher.
Well, there he is. We affectionately called him the Junkyard Dog earlier. It's what a lot of guys in the pits call him. He is a tough competitor, but he goes up against one of the all-time great veterans in Gary Porter out of Wadesboro, North Carolina.
And remember Gary Porter talking to us about that flag. You got to wonder, does Gary Porter have the flag? Well, yeah, they're underway, and on the far lane there, you see Gary Porter and Carolina Crusher making that turn, but he gets a little bit too wide. Gary Porter off the course a little bit.
That's going to be a DQ, Mike. He's completely off the course. It looked like it was Paul Schaefer in trouble, and we're going to see on the replay. First, Paul comes up. Watch when he comes off the cars. He's already cocked a little bit to his left. Bang, he hits the hay bales. That actually, though, throws him back onto the course. That is not a disqualification move. He gets through the turns. He again went over the hay bales and all of the pennants there. Again, though, staying in the course, not disqualified, and he gets those two front wheels on the cars. Now watch, Gary Porter does not get the two front wheels on the car. That means DQ.
Tough break for Gary Porter. Let's go to Steve Burns.
I'll tell you what, my truck just ran so good, the motor ran good. I messed up a little bit. It takes a driver to drive this track. It's tough. You got to have your motor just right. You got to be able to make that U-turn and find the racetrack. It's kind of hard to see the racetrack when you're moving so fast and trying to cut a corner and it's tough.
All the guys are saying it's a driver's racetrack. Tell us what that means.
That means you get lucky and don't make no mistakes, and try to get lucky and don't make no mistakes. It's hard. It's really hard. You know, Gary gave me a good run, and I kind of messed up in this last corner here, and I just let it hang on and hope for the best.
Well, it was exciting.
Yeah, I hope so.
Both drivers in a little bit of trouble. There you see Boogie Van, and it's welcoming back Pam Vodders to Monster Truck Racing as she's ready to go strong.
You might think monster truck racing is a man's world. You'd be wrong. Pam Vodders, driver of Boogie Van, has turned that misconception on its head. But her career didn't start out that way.
They did it first. When I first come out and started racing, I think they looked at me as a novelty, you know, a woman in a monster truck, and until I went out and proved myself in Indy one year and became the 5th qualifier out of 12 top trucks in the country, then they started to take notice.
And don't try stereotyping her abilities as a driver.
I don't see it as any advantage or disadvantage. You know, no, I don't see it as either. I just climb up in there and I go, you know. It doesn't make a bit of difference what size you are, as long as you're physically fit, I think.
Pam's driving style can be described in one word.
I'm aggressive. I mean, when I'm in the lane, I'm there to compete. You do have to do a lot of thinking, you know, while you're out there driving, but sometimes you don't have time to think either, you know, it's just natural reaction. But aggressive, maybe.
That aggressiveness comes at a price.
Oh, yeah. Pontiac Silverdome. I took out 14 feet of the Detroit Lions wall, put me in the hospital for 4 days with some internal bleeding and stuff. So, yeah, it's not real glamorous sometimes. Sometimes you do take some really bad hits.
One price Pam didn't pay was missing her son's development.
I saw him about 10 days out of the month a few years ago when I was racing, and I knew he was growing up before me. I knew it was time to step out of my truck for a little while, so I did. I got out of it for about 1.5 years.
Her off-track rewards are once again supplemented with on-track success.
The rewarding part is the winning, you know, making the fans cheer, having your following, going to different places and people knowing you and, you know, liking you, wanting to come back to see you. That's the most rewarding part.
We'll watch Pam Vodders race. It's Boogie Van and Sampson, and that's coming up next on Monster Jam.
Hi.
I saw you looking for change, and I was like, an angel like that, a dangerous place like this. She should know 1-800-CALL-ATT is a guaranteed cheap collect call. Don't miss, sweetie.
1-800-CALLATT.
1-800-CALL-ATT for guaranteed cheap collect calls. She'll call.
In our quest for the finest brakes in the world, we tested our pads against other leading brands. With pad after pad, in test after test, the results were always the same.
Diego finals in monster trucks, Grave Digger and Monster Patrol.
You always like to see two heavyweights go for the championship, so the crowd at Qualcomm Stadium absolutely got their money's worth. Look at Paul Schaefer dust the Gravedigger machine. Incredible run for Monster Patrol. Put him in victory lane, and there's those blue and red lights a-flashing.
Indeed they were, and Gravedigger, a little bit of trouble there, and it's time to go freestyling, and Monster Patrol cutting some donuts and looking strong doing it.
Get the coffee out for that one. What a donut, and you can see the Gravedigger doing the same thing at the same time. You gotta love two trucks on the course freestyling, and watch Sam Sturgis, unnamed and untamed. That's what you call a wheelie.
Indeed, and that's what you call an ending there abruptly. And here we are back in Indy, ready to go. Sampson taking on Boogie Van. We told you the story of Pam Vodders just a moment ago. She is back after a bit of a layoff and is ready to go get it tonight. She's got quite an aggressive driving style.
Yeah, but she's got quite an opponent as well, as we've seen throughout these recent weeks on Motor Madness. The muscled arms of Sampson show a lot of power. Dan Patrick, huge Keith Black Hemi engine, and he knows what to do with it. Hey, don't forget, you can catch live U.S. Hot Rod sanctioned monster truck action, Monster Jam in Reno tomorrow night and Sunday at the Livestock and Events Center. That's coming up this weekend. Right now, though, we've got Sampson and Dan Patrick ready to go.
Yeah. These events here are USHRA sanctioned events, ready to go. Monster truck racing, Sampson and Boogie Van.
Both trucks got out of the hole nicely. Actually, Pam got a lead.
And she does, but look at Sampson negotiate this turn. What a great job Dan does there, and hammers that throttle down the straightaway. Looks like it's going to be Sampson.
Dan Patrick absolutely put the hammer down coming for home. And as you mentioned, the turn was excellent, really sliding that back end out. Almost left the course again, but comes off in good shape.
And we told you in other shows, these guys can rear steer these trucks, and it really makes a difference.
There was a call, though, being made. We're getting word now on a lane violation for Sampson. Pam Vodders will actually be credited with the win. Boogie Van's going to round 2.
Pam Vodders moves on because of a mistake by Sampson.
Grave diggers in the house, Mike, and that means everybody in Indy is fired up as Dennis Anderson, the icon, is here.
He is the favorite here in Indianapolis at the RCA Dome, and Carnivore, big underdog. We'll see if he has anything for the man who leads this sport. Dennis Anderson in Grave Digger, waving to the crowd. Out of Kill Devil Hills, North Carolina, 17 years in competition. He knows how to win on these types of tracks.
He's as wild and aggressive today as he was in day one, but very accomplished. Brian Garno, our first look at him on Motor Madness in Carnivore out of St. Charles, Missouri. And don't forget, you can catch Grave Digger and Monster Patrol in Nashville tomorrow night.
All right. Digger, boy, wow, on that front straightaway, then making that turn, coming back. It's going to be Digger all the way in this race. Dennis Anderson in Grave Digger, and this crowd roars its approval as Dennis Anderson. That was some show.
You noticed the way he was able to really handle the truck. He slid it through the turn and was able to kind of get cockeyed, but get it right back in shape to come down in the finals and finish off Carnivore as he hit the checkered flag.
Carnivore just not the muscle to keep up with Grave Digger, and Digger goes over these obstacles, just flies over them, and then in a great position jumps on that brake and makes it through that turn.
Beautiful job in the turn, handle, straightens it out, and goes to the victory.
Let's go to Steve Burns, who's with Dennis Anderson.
Well, you had the Grave Digger digging all right. I didn't know if you're going to make that turn back there.
Yeah, I didn't either. Things kind of like driving along a school bus. You know, that was the first shot out on the track. And I just, you know, my crew guy said I kind of overshot the turn a little bit. I said, okay, boys, I'll tighten it up next time. But, hey, it's kind of hard to think about all that stuff when you're out there, especially when you come around the corner. You got 3 or 4 mobiles to hit. You don't know which one to get on first. All I'm focusing on is the center lane, get around that turn, and hammer down.
Well, I saw Gary hold his breath. You about took out the Nightmare sitting there.
Yeah, I tell you, it's pretty tight with us with the other guys spitting down here, too. But, hey, everybody has to stay back, and if monster trucks bump tires together, ain't no big deal. Won't be the first time we done it, but heck, we don't want to tear up nobody's equipment. Don't mind tearing up my own, but hey, I'm here to win. I'm here to put on a good show, and hey, may the best man win. If I don't do it tonight, maybe there'll be a next time. Who knows?
Wide open.
Yes, sir. Wide open all the way.
Dennis Anderson always running wide open. Scott, let's take a look at our brackets where we stand right now.
After the first round, you can see Gunslinger beat Nightmare too, but Gary Bauer gets to come back in the second round. He was the fastest qualifier who did not win in that first round. Of course, Barefoot Monster Patrol winners, as were Pam Vodders and Boogie Van and Dennis Anderson and Grave Digger.
We've got a new segment we call Collision Course. We'll talk about that coming up on Monster Jam. Stay with us here on TNN.
Take it on the road with the U.S. Hot Rod Monsters as they invade the Midwest this July. Terre Haute's getting ready for a battle royal July 16th and 17th at Vigo County Fairgrounds when the Monster Jam Summer Slam World Tour comes a-callin'. Log on now at pacemotorsports.com. Get tickets today.
A lot of people are having a great time here in Indy. Time now for our Jargon Jam.
You do this big, giant freestyle wheeling. You land and pogo it on the back wheels and just try to ride it out a little bit and know that it's just an awesome feeling knowing that you're inside that truck and you are in control of that vehicle 100%.
I like to pull up to the cars and just crack second gear and stand it straight up. I mean, I've set it down on the back bumper lots of times to where it should have rolled, but it didn't.
You get into a pogo situation where you stuff the front end, you know, it wants to stand right back up on you. You can pogo it on the rear tires, you can pogo it on the front tires, and sometimes you can pogo it on the side of the tires also. Now you can get real wild and fly down in there to it, put it up, bicycle it on 2 wheels, and you have to settle down. Your other guy's just going to motor right on by you.
Flag bender, that's when we do wheel stands. We like going up to the cars and doing these real high front end wheel stands. Usually when we go carried away a little bit too far, we do a flag bender, and that's when we go almost backwards and bends the flag up, and it costs a little bit of money, but it looks really cool.
Yeah, it does. Folks here in Indianapolis love it. What about the crashes? How tough is that in this sport? Well, let's hear from some of the drivers.
Okay, when you get into these crash deals, you know, like I always like to say is, you know, it happens in a slow motion. I've been lucky. I've been lucky for 2 years now. We haven't had any major rollovers due to the fact that we got to put this girl back together ourselves. I'm a one-man team. We got to go out here, me, myself, and I, and take care of this thing. So when you go out there and roll a truck over, it's almost like pulling a cash register. It's ching-ching's costing you money. My situation is, you know, we got a low budget. We're trying to keep this thing up. We do good for what we have, and crashes are only going to take away out of my hip pocket. And as you all like to see out here, these fans, everybody, they want to see good races. Yeah, they want to see crashes. There's guys out here that are known for crashes. We like to keep ours standing up tall.
I know you guys will probably enjoy this. Crashing and burning, that's what the fans want to see. We don't always like to do it. I think it's cool. I like to have, like, the #1 rollover out there, but I don't intentionally go out and roll the truck over, and the crew guys sure don't like it. They hate to see me tear that truck up, but you guys will love this.
Want to see more of these crashes? Pick up your copy of Crash Madness video at any Pace Motorsports Monster Jam, including the big one in St. Louis on April the 3rd. Coming up on TNN's Motor Madness, we got more crashes. We got a demo derby. You won't want to miss this.
June 5th is the date. New York State Fairgrounds is the place, and the Monsters are the main event. That's right, the Monsters are ready to rumble, and Syracuse is the battleground. All you need is a ticket, and you can grab them before they're gone at www.pacemotorsports.com. Grab your tickets and get there.
Hey, let's check in on some demo derby action in Seattle, Motor Madness style.
Bow, 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 whoop-a-doo-dow. Ow, that.
King Killer, the survivor here.
Survivor? He's a tough hombre, buddy.
I'll tell you. And let's go to Steve Burns, how it works.
Indianapolis is a tough, tough racetrack, no doubt about it. They carry all that speed down the straightaway, then they got to get turned. How do they do it? I don't know.
It's a big driver's course.
This is going to be a driver's track.
Definitely will be a driver's course.
Yes, that's right. It is a racer's track. You got to be real patient about this track here because it's so tight. It's real tight turning radius. It's not really, like you say, a horsepower track. Horsepower is going to help right here in the straightaway and to get over the last set of cars. Other than that, it's going to be more up to the drivers and being able to control their trucks and getting around here as quickly and safely as they can.
Keeping the rubber side down. You got to make a real sharp hairpin turn down here at the other end. You got a mogul you got to compensate for, and then a good set of ramp to really air it out. these people here, they're going to want to see some air.
If you're off when you hit it, then you're going to go over, and that's, you don't lose, you don't win when you're on your roof.
Is there a toughest part of the racetrack, a hot spot that you need to be careful about?
Yeah, I think the turning course down here, that's the hardest part. It's going to be real tight on the turns. They're pitting all the monster trucks down there. They're not really giving us a whole lot of room. But
If you hit it too hard, you're going to run into the competition, which could be a good thing.
Coming up, we got round 2, monster truck action. Gunslinger and Barefoot will take it out against each other. Just a moment. Hey, it's time now for a U.S. Off-Roads update. We take you to El Paso. Stadium Sport Trucks doing some battling here.
Well, as we were able to see a couple of weeks ago here on Motor Madness, these guys put on an awesome show, and here in El Paso, nothing less than exceptional action throughout the evening. And Lee O'Donnell, number 23, wins to close that gap in the point standings. He's only 2 behind Jerry Welchel.
And the Stadium Lights also putting on a big show in El Paso.
Well, these guys are lots of fun, and I'll tell you what, you can see wild action everywhere. Todd Whitman, and he races against his wife and his mother-in-law in this class. He won there, but Joe Price still has that sizable lead. And in the super modified buggies, Corey Witherell's got a 2-point edge.
Here at Indy, Todd Frolick in Barefoot says he's ready for round 2.
Keep hearing everybody say it's a driver's racetrack. How about from your perspective?
Oh, totally. They've got to slow down so much in this corner coming out. You got to hit the next ramp, and be down a gear and head for the ramp. And, you know, I had a hard time. I didn't shift till I got over the ramp and realized I was in the wrong gear. So I looked pretty bad there. Hopefully we'll pick up the pace here and come on back.
Best of luck.
Thanks.
Todd Frolick in Barefoot out of Illinois in that 97 Dodge Ram, ready to go.
No question. You can almost tell it in his voice and see it in his eyes. This is not Todd Frolick's type of racetrack. He's got all that horsepower, but he's not the best handling truck. This guy, that Ford, handles real well.
Gunslinger of Scott Hartsook. And they're ready to go. And I'd say Gunslinger might be the favorite in this here. And it is Gunslinger, as you watch him take that turn barefoot, a little trouble getting around the turn. That's to slow down a lot. And that really hurts him. Gunslinger on the win here.
Yeah, it was the turn that absolutely annihilated Barefoot in this run. And Scott Hartsock, what a roll he's been on Motor Madness. Wins in San Antonio. Now he knocks off the legendary Barefoot. Scott Hartsock's going to the semifinal round here.
Let's take a look again at how he did it.
You can see Barefoot just cannot make this turn smoothly, and that really cost him. By the time he's able to get on the throttle again, Hartsock has already hammered it, and watch him smoothly sail right around that pole, and then Hartsock has plenty of momentum, and as Dennis Anderson told us earlier, whoever gets back on the throttle first is going to win.
Who gets slowed down and on those brakes and takes that turn the smoothest. There's Boogie Van, Pam Vaughters. And she won in her first round, and she is here to try to knock off the big guys again.
Great to see her back, but look who she draws this time.
Oh, my.
Paul Schaefer's Monster Patrol. So the big gun out of Portage, Indiana. Great Chevy versus Ford matchup. You've got all that power of that big block Chevy engine with Monster Patrol. Pure Ford right here, the Aerostar van of Pam Vaughters.
And again, this is a driver's track. They've got obstacles to go over. They've got to have a lot of horsepower down these straightaways, but really have to use a lot of driver skill to get through these turns.
As good as Pam is, this may be, Mike, where the year-and-a-half layoff really hurts her, is experience on a track like this where you've got to negotiate that turn. With all that speed, shut her down, make the turn, and then get back on the throttle. Schaefer should have an advantage here, but never count Pam Vaughters out.
Paul Schaefer in Monster Patrol, one of the favorite trucks on this circuit. Boy, he flies down the straightaway. Look at him take that turn. That's a great job of getting that truck turned around. And it's going to be Monster Patrol as, whoa, Vaughters had some problems getting off the course there. And the crowd is roaring.
You got to tip your hat to Pam Vaughters. I'm going to tell you what, Schaefer absolutely ran a perfect race, and he still only beat her by a length. She was right there with him, and as you mentioned during the call of the race, Mike, Paul Schaefer could not have made a better turn. Watch this transition. He doesn't lose any momentum, turns the corner, and bang, he's gone again.
Awesome driving right here by Paul Schaefer, and give him a lot of credit.
Here's where we're going to see why Pam Vaughters was so close. She turns just as well as he did, and bang, she's able to get back on the throttle. Problem is, not quite enough to keep up with that huge big block Chevy that Paul Schaefer's got.
Congrats to Monster Patrol. Tonight's monster trucks are all competing for a portion of the $100,000 Pace Motorsports Monster Jam Points Fund, which will culminate April the 3rd in St. Louis.
Great action this weekend, though. You want to talk about battling for that $100,000 point fund or their share of it. You're going to see Monster Jam action tomorrow night, Sunday afternoon, along with Pro Stadium trucks. That'll be in Reno, Nevada. Fort Myers tomorrow night and Sunday with the Monsters. North Charleston, South Carolina, Monsters and Quads tomorrow. And then join us in Nashville, Monsters, Quad, and Pro Stadium trucks. When we come back, Gravediggers in the house.
If you're
Take it on the road with the U.S. Hot Rod Monsters as they invade the Midwest this July. Terre Haute's getting ready for a battle royal July 16th and 17th at Vigo County Fairgrounds when the Monster Jam Summer Slam World Tour comes a-calling. Log on now at pacemotorsports.com. Get tickets today.
Back in Indy, Nightmare getting ready to go up against Gravedigger. Let's learn more about Gary Bauer.
Gary Bauer's Nightmare began years ago in Detroit, Michigan.
Well, I was working at an event with a truck puller back in the early 80s, and when I saw, the monster truck influence the very first time that it was actually publicized at an event, I said right then, I got to do it.
By the time the first Macintosh hit the market, Gary was racing.
And I started building the truck in 1983, and I had it out on the professional circuit in 1984. I'm probably one of the pioneers of this sport, so to speak.
And thus began the Nightmare.
We like the name because, people do ask that question all the time, and people that don't know the background of this, it actually is kind of a nightmare. Making the miles, doing the trips overnight, and fixing the breakage from weekend to weekend, and getting the thing back up to 100% so that we can come out here and give it our all every weekend.
Well, the question is, if monster truck racing can ruin a good night's sleep, why doesn't Gary Bauer's end the Nightmare?
I don't think it'll ever be over because I'm just so committed to the sport and to the industry and to the innovation, to track building and, the whole 9 yards of what, makes this a sport. I love it. I want to keep doing it, and as long as I physically can, because it, takes a little bit of abuse on your body, but I'm in pretty good shape, and as long as I can keep doing it, I'm going to keep doing it.
Well, I'd say that Gary has his hands full here tonight with Gravedigger. Look at the fans here in Indy.
That's that Gravedigger skull and crossbones flag, just like the Digger has, and the kids love to have what the Digger has. Gary Bauer would love nothing better than to pull this huge upset and beat Dennis Anderson here in Indy.
Dennis Anderson loves this type of course. It really drives them well. He's going to be tough to beat, I think, here.
Absolutely. Now, Bauer's got to go for it, and remember, even if he doesn't win, he's got a shot because the fast qualifier comes back in the next round.
Good point. And it is into the turn first. Gravedigger up over those cars. Digger pulls away down the stretch. Another great run for Dennis Anderson.
Mike, you're right on it. Nobody, I don't think, drives a course week in and week out, year in and year out like this, like Dennis Anderson does. Here's the replay.
A little tight trying to make that turn, but still does a pretty good job. And Dennis had told us you really got to get that hammer down. You got to get into that throttle quickly coming out of that turn. He did that.
Gary Bauer's solid run was the fastest losing run of the second round, so he'll be back. But Dennis Anderson's the man right now.
Dennis, we're down to it. You good shape? How do you feel?
Yeah, I'll tell you that pass that I just made was probably the best one that I made all night. Pretty smooth turn. I think it's going to be me and Gunslinger in the finals. Scott's got a short wheelbase. He's cutting his track tight. He's doing a good job. We got to go over here and battle about the lanes right now. If he gets his lane, he'll probably win. But we'll see. We've got another little malfunction with the Digger. We've got a pinion support bearing retainer that's broke in it, which it was broke this round right here, and the crew guys, they're checking it out. And I told them, hey, we'll run it. It'll be a wing and a prayer. Maybe it'll go, maybe it'll blow. Who knows? But we cannot stop and fix it now. There's not enough time to replace the differential in it. So we're just going to cross our fingers, hope for the best, and, hey, we'll either make history or be history.
So, an interesting story developing with Gravedigger as we have moved down now to the semifinals.
Dennis has always raced like he was going to make history or be history. The differential's got nothing to do with that. I'll tell you, it's been a great night of action so far. As you go inside the cab with Sampson, Gravedigger was able to get the win over Nightmare 2, but as we discussed, Mike, Nightmare 2 still the fastest qualifier in round 2, so he's still alive. He'll have to face Gunslinger in the semifinals.
And we'll talk more about what we might expect in the semifinals coming up on Monster Jam. June 5th is the date. New York State Fairgrounds is the place, and the Monsters are the main event. That's right, the Monsters are ready to rumble, and Syracuse is the battleground. All you need is a ticket, and you can grab them before they're gone at www.pacemotorsports.com. Grab your tickets and get there. We've had a great monster truck race up until this point, this U.S. Hot Rod Association sanctioned event. Gravedigger has been strong, but this has been the big surprise, Nightmare.
And he's done it by just consistently being as good as he can be. He hasn't won in these first 2 rounds, but he's always been the fastest qualifier. And the way the brackets work, that will advance you to the next round. But from now on, Nightmare has to get the victory because it's now winner out in the semis, and Gunslinger's going to be a tough guy to beat.
Yeah, that's who Nightmare has to go up against is Gunslinger, and Gunslinger runs this track very well.
Of course, Gravedigger's still alive.
Gravedigger is alive, and Gravedigger and Monster Patrol, I think, is going to be one great semifinal that we'll see next week.
Well, we talked about the upstart. How about Gary Bauer from Vienna, Ohio? All we know is he's going to the semis, but so is Paul Schaefer and that Monster Patrol Chevrolet. That's our Final Four for next week from Indianapolis.
Yeah, it's going to be a great Final Four, too, here in Indy. Now, here it's time for our Maylocks Minute, a time where we like to take a look at one event that we've had on Monster Jam that, well, makes you want to take a little bit of Maylocks. And I think Dennis Anderson right here went, oh, watch this. Oh, my. It looked like for a moment he was going right up into the seat.
Well, obviously, the truck comes back down, and the safety factors working there for the U.S. Hot Rod Association because obviously nobody's sitting in those lower seats, but certainly Dennis Anderson putting on a show that those fans will remember for a long time. Our Maylocks Minute with the Gravedigger.
And that was something. Hey, what do you say we go jamming? It's time for the jam.
Well, folks, I'm going to be honest with you. I am one worn-out dude. You know, that Dan Moriarty, he didn't tell me how emotionally draining these shows are. I can't. I've got no more. I'm spent. Let's go up to Hogwood and Scott Douglas. Finish it out, boys. I'm all done.
All right, Bernsey. Hang in there, big guy. We'll be back in Indy next week. For Scott Douglas, I'm Mike Hogwood. So long, everybody.